Hello and welcome to Leader Spotlight. I'm Tracy Clark, the Executive Director for the Louisa County Chamber of Commerce. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to Mark Walin, who's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for BioCat right here in Louisa County. It's such an interesting business that you have, Mark. I'm really excited to share with people in Louisa and surrounding what you guys do. Can you share a little bit, first of all, let's start out getting to know you. Share a little bit about your background. I know you've mentioned extensive travel. How did you kind of get to the Louisa and Central Virginia area?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me today. And hello to everybody out there that's going to be viewing this. It's maybe not a typical story in terms of how I ended up here in Virginia, because it was not part of my life map, if you will. But I had worked in the healthcare industry for 30 years and for several leaders, global leaders in healthcare. And it took my family and myself to California, Seattle, New York City, Chicago, major metropolitan areas. And it was through those different business experiences, I was introduced to some real thought leaders that were here in Central Virginia that ultimately resulted in an opportunity for my family to be moved here and begin a kind of second phase of my career, rather than working for very large multinational global healthcare companies, working for, I would say, faster, more nimble growth companies here in Central Virginia that many people were not aware existed.
That sounds great. How do you like, Central Virginia compared to some of these major metropolitan cities that you've mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, those are all great cities. And I think, I have no regrets spending time and having my family in any of those cities, but there's really no comparison. We're talking about just this bucolic beauty of rural Central Virginia with just amazing history. And it's such a easy place to live, really. And yet we have access to anything that we'd want. I mean, right here in Louisa County, we're at the nexus of 81 and 95 between Richmond, our state capital, and Stanton on 81. And if you draw a circle around it, the percentage of the U.S. population that we're near, the nation's capital, from healthcare to travel to transportation. This is like just a phenomenal location. So we love it. Yeah, we don't have to put up with New York City and Chicago. I would say just traffic and other issues that, are nice to visit, but you don't want to live there.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a lot of traveling when I was younger as well. And you summed it up perfectly. Metropolitan areas like New York City and places that you've mentioned, they're wonderful to go and visit, but you really experience a completely different world living in the more rural areas, but you still have access to go and experience all of those things. It's really a great place. I'm glad you're here. So tell me a little bit about, I know you're the Vice President of Sales and Marketing, but what is your experience in terms of the actual, I know it's, I think you described it as life science with BioCat. Do you have health and science background, or?
Yeah, I would say 30 years in healthcare really became my on-the-job training as it relates to pharmaceuticals, medical devices, the regulatory environment that the FDA requires and the EPA requires. So very strict compliance with the companies that I worked with and for over that span of that career. And we're in a very similar place here, but we focus on the three core life sciences, and it's human life science, specifically human nutrition, animal nutrition, and that's both production animal and companion animal, and then crop science. And we also have some other businesses that are very important to us. We support with our technology, brewing and distilling, industrial cleaning. We have many applications that we support, but the real core focus is across those three life sciences that are very different. And then yet at their core, there's a lot of similarities where there's transferable knowledge across those. They're all transformative for, really the things that we work on as it relates to benefiting the world and society. And it makes everybody here hit the ground running a little harder every day because we all know we're making a big difference.
Yeah, I love to learn about businesses like yours because it's the behind the scenes, it's kind of like taking a peek behind the curtain, of what goes into all these products and so forth that are consumed. Tell me a little bit before we jump to a little bit more about BioCat specifically. Tell me a little bit about, was this your path when you were a kid? Did you want to get into health science and or even just sales and marketing? Was that kind of your vision, or?
I would say my earliest recollections, were to be either an archaeologist or a police officer. And so and those were some of my favorite people in my life held those occupations. And I had a great deal of reverence and admiration for them. And I thought that's the path I would take. Our co-founder, actually, Mr. Ed Schuler, he actually was a microbiologist, and he went into the brewing industry, and he became a brewmaster for a renowned brewery. And that was almost the path I took after I attended college. Was I also was entering the brewing and distilling industry, but in a marketing role. And then fate, took me a completely different direction last minute into healthcare. And again, I worked for one of the largest healthcare companies in the world, and that provided a almost 2.5 decade long career that just showed me a lot of different aspects of healthcare, but primarily pharmaceutical. And we have the ability to deliver substantiated, clinically supported results that provide individuals alternatives to pharmaceutical drugs, but with some phenomenal results. And as you know, that's becoming very important for people to have self-care options that may not be accompanied with many of the side effects. And then, of course, when we get into our animal feed business, pulling antibiotics out of animal feed. When we talk about our crop science, pulling chemicals out of growing crops. And you're able to do many things with our technology that provide substantial yield improvements, but without chemicals, without pharmaceuticals, without antibiotics. And so it's kind of applying what I did for many, many years, but now being part of a brilliant team of individuals that know how to apply it using the tools and the resources we have in a more natural way.
Wow. Well, let's continue on that path about BioCat specifically. I mean, you're giving us some really good information, but for those people that are not necessarily scientifically driven, how would you describe BioCat and what you do here in Louisa County for those at a very, beginner level? Is it something that is impacting or has the potential to impact local residents in a negative way or a positive way? Or
yeah, I would say there's not a single negative I could think of in any way. I mean, economically, in terms of our growth and the job opportunities that we present, the career opportunities that we present. We have many colleagues of mine that have been here for 20, 25, 28 years. People make an amazing career out of being part of the BioCat organization. And we have many, younger and new employees that are just starting their careers here. And the best is yet to come in terms of our growth prospects, especially being in a county like Louisa, and the support and interest that you have and our success in this area. So there's no negatives. I think the positives that many should realize is, we have an embarrassment of riches in terms of universities here in the state of Virginia, almost like no other state. Yeah. And you can name any one of them. And we have people here that, come from those universities, but we also partner with those universities. We collaborate with them on clinical studies. And a lot of people in the area around Louisa, are involved in agriculture, and we have specific products that are used for agriculture and many partnerships with growers in the area, be it production animals that have used enzymes for decades to help break down the feed to increase the yield on the animal. Decades proven. We're just now taking that technology and applying it to humans, how humans can be assisted in their digestion as they age, or as they're ingesting more difficult to digest foods. Right. And then from an agriculture standpoint as well, we have another business, which is microbial and the ability to put the right microbes back into the soil after years of chemical treatment is very, very important, similar to our gut microbiome. We talk about the health of the soil and what's the right bacteria to have in the soil. We play in both those areas, both microbial, bacterial, beneficial bacterial area, and then also enzymes, which break things down and make things easier to digest, be it a plant, a production animal, or a human.
Wow. And your impact, I mean, you serve nationally, and
do.
nationally. Tell us a little bit about your reach in terms of your products and so forth.
Well, we have a very fast growing international business. We have relationships with companies that are publicly traded, that are the leading agriculture companies in South Africa, serving the African continent and Europe. We have partners in aquaculture, where they're farm raising shrimp or other seafood in controlled environments. Our products are critical for those environments. And some of the largest aquaculture facilities in the world are in Southeast Asia. And so we have very large partners in Vietnam and in South America, is really coming up in terms of supplying global product in those areas, both agriculture and production animal. In the US, we have a very dominant position of leadership. And I don't want to use the term dominant loosely, but we have a very commanding share is probably a better word to use relative to the human dietary supplement industry. If somebody's making a capsule or a pill, it's 8 out of 10 times using our technology, our formulation. And right here in Virginia, we blend very complex formulations into a blend that's utilized by a contract manufacturer that puts it into a product that you may be taking if you're lactose intolerant or gluten intolerant, or having a protein or fat digestion issue. Enzymes are utilized in a variety of different digestive nutrition supplement categories. And again, we are by far the leader in that area. So, and those are primarily, very heavily concentrated in the domestic US. So, but yeah, we have some very large partners.
Yeah, I mean,
Please.
It's definitely almost overwhelming, the reach and how much you guys are doing. So in charge of the sales and marketing with national and international relationships and partnerships, how big is your team? Like, how do you manage all of these different relationships and reach that you have selling your products?
So I've had organizations that had several hundred salespeople, in them. And we have a sales organization that has a small percentage of that. But it's incredible the knowledge they have and their ability to toggle between these different business opportunities because of the rest of the support of the system. We have across our two businesses 4 PhDs. We have an applications lab with people that are in research and development that have the ability to support the sales team from a technical selling standpoint to allow them to really have much more coverage than just a salesperson would have. It's really a team approach. The regulatory team, the quality team, they 100% work together when it's customer facing to be a full solution provider. And we're given some complex problems to solve, and it's through that team approach we're able to have a fairly small but extremely almost Navy SEAL elite type because they're so good at what they do. We're not doing we do prospect, but we're not like this call center that's just cold calling, trying to pick up looking for customers.
Yeah.
We have a lot of very strategic relationships, and our salespeople are business development managers. Their job is to develop the business, or strategically find all the opportunities to take customers and really grow them and help them grow and utilize all the capabilities we have beyond our portfolio.
Yeah, it sounds very specialized. I mean, is there much competition for what you do?
There's that term, the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. So, we might be supplying a category 80% of its needs. And then you'd say, well, then there must be 2 other guys or 1 other guy doing the other 20. Well, there might be 50 guys or 100 guys doing the other 20. There's a lot of competition. But we look at performance. We look at this company's reputation from an integrity standpoint, trust standpoint, a relationship standpoint. Those matter to us and they matter to our customers. Our best customers in many cases are our longest standing customers because of what we've built together. But the new customers that we bring into the portfolio quickly realize that they too will become a long-term customer of ours. And it's sometimes overwhelming, but I think in many respects it's very manageable because of our approach to the business. And there's only one, and it's the way I describe it to you. It's with the highest of ethics and integrity, and doing the job right and having the highest quality. A lot of the competition, in the way it might be in technology or many other spaces, it might be focused on price and offshore, focused on quality, performance, and premium. And we think that's, value, we think is not, it's where price and performance intersect. And we know that from a performance standpoint, price is the last thing we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the fact that the products are going to be the best available on the market. Price certainly matters, but it doesn't matter if performance, cannot deliver the results, the intended results. And that's what we focus on.
Yeah, that's so important. I do believe, people are price conscious, but they're going to, you get what you pay for, that phrase. So, delivering a solid trust product, highest of ethics, that's so important, especially in this day and age, right? For people to know what they're getting and that they're getting valuable service. I would like to just ask before we kind of wrap this up, is there anything, because I don't know enough about your business, is there something that maybe you'd like to share with us that I haven't touched on, that either about BioCat or even just how did they get here? Why did they choose Louisa? Anything else you can share about?
Sure. Well, it was co-founded by Ed and Chris Schuler, father, son. And often many people refer to us as a family business, family-owned business. And one of the reasons they may say that is because we're still founder-led. Chris Schuler, the co-founder, is our CEO and president, and he's a pretty young guy. And he's got big plans for this company and the growth of this company. But it's not a family business like the hardware store in town might be referred to. It's family because it's how all the employees have felt once they become part of the BioCat family, part of the culture here. And, there's very inspired individuals in this building and alignment around doing the right thing every day, doing the right thing the right way. And so the culture here is something I think would be hard for anybody to really understand. If they've worked somewhere else, they may say, I understand culture. I do. I knew it from a very large company. It was very rigid and had to be from a compliance standpoint. And I've worked in, very fast-paced, I'd say entrepreneurial environments. This is one that must be compliant because it's FDA and EPA regulated, and we will never step out of bounds and do anything that would be unethical or not the right thing. At the same time, we have to be extremely innovative and fast and flexible. And we've got to be creative, and we have to get everybody's ideas in the building. So our co-founder, Chris Schuler's door, you hear about this open door policy. His door's always open. He expects people to be sharing ideas, collaborating, teamwork. There's no politics or hidden agenda. It's all, we have a very clear vision of where we're going. And everybody is together, inspired by that vision and working very hard to achieve it. And our customers see that. They see it every day in their interactions with us. So that's one thing I want to share is you can't see it when you drive by the building. You can't really understand it until you've experienced it, but it's a very special culture. It's a lot of
you definitely can't pick up on that driving by the building. You're right. And I really appreciate you spending time to share all of this. It definitely sounds like a really great place, a great environment to work. I have been around a number of different businesses through my background, And I've always gravitated towards those family owned, or where the culture really is, like you're describing, all inclusive. And I think that's a really good message, not just for what you're doing with all the regulations, but to any business. The more that you can keep your employees feeling engaged and part of the success, you know, you lead that business to higher success, right?
We would agree with you. Yes.
Yeah. So one thing before you leave, can you share, leading a team throughout your history, can you share maybe one or two books or experiences that you've had that have really made an impact on your leadership style?
You know, I mean, there's one book that often I recommend to people that are new in a role, by a guy named Cotter. It's Leading Change. So that's a book I think is a great reference for many. But I think here the key thing, and everywhere that I've been, it's surround yourself with great people, you know, smart people that have the desire and capability to be part of creating something great. And you know, the leader's role is create the vision, set strategy and objectives. And then your job is remove obstacles, champion their causes, listen to them, support them. But you need to get out of their way, allow them to own the outcomes and achieve set objectives. And, you know, I think that's the leadership style here. It's not micromanagement, but it's 100% feeling the support of your management team and leadership team to do what you're being asked to do. And
Yeah.
so, you know, that's, I think, an important leadership principle that, you know, for many organizations, including those that are facing challenges right now. And it's one that's been consistent here, and it's consistent with my philosophy and the rest of the management team here.
Well, that's wonderful. I have certainly enjoyed our time today, Mark. And for everyone that's watching, I do want to remind everyone that BioCat is a member of the Louisa Chamber of Commerce. We're really excited to have them here. You can find out information, links to their website if you're curious about what they're doing, or even career opportunities in working with them. You can go to louisachamber.org and find them under Find a Business under the Community Info section. So thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today. And I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, and hope to see everybody soon in the community. Stay safe.